Hey guys, it's Matt. Somebody left a comment under yesterday's video, which was about, is it round or is it flat, or it's likely neither. It depends on what you expect it to be as a conscious being, helping to in some way influence reality. It will show you what you want to find. That was the concept, of course, the general gist of what I was saying yesterday. And somebody in the comment yesterday said, you're going to have to come back and do another video on this, Matt. And the way I interpreted, I don't know exactly what was said in the comment, was people just aren't quite getting it. And they aren't 5 to 10%. I doubt there was any old guard commenting in this way, but they just did not get or understand what I was saying in yesterday's video. And if anybody wants to yell at me or rising up out of the bathtub throwing rubber duckies, I hear you. Let me address it now. I can hear you even before this is uploaded. I can hear you screaming at me saying, "Oh, so let me get this straight, Matt. So if somebody doesn't agree with you, they're just not listening closely and not understanding what you have to say." Well, no. See, the reason I'm saying they didn't listen, and they didn't really they did earmuffs. They didn't want to really understand what I was saying, because it breaks their little third grade or fifth grade truther paradigms. They weren't listening, not just because they didn't agree. I'm not that unflexible or intransigent. It's because in terms of what they said back to me in the comment, they did nothing other than bark back at me that it's flat. They didn't in any way address what I was saying. See, that's what you typically do if there's a disagreement. You address what was said. And Matt, here's where you're right, Matt, but here's where you're very wrong, Matt. Here's where you're leading people astray, you son of a beach. Here's where you're totally off, Matt. And then I would expect 3, 4, even 5 sentences. See, refuting what I was saying and trying to help me out. None of that ever comes. It's just barking out, "Oh, it's flat." That's not good enough. No, it's not good enough. Sorry. You would tell me where I'm going wrong if I haven't emphasized that enough in this condescending manner. So these people, look, it's okay. It's to be stuck in third, fourth, fifth grade truth is a Linus blanket in and of itself. It's all warm, and to be angry, to blame the bad guys, to blame the not milk and Henry Kissinger types and Alec Baldwin types and Melvin and Bezos types and Santa Claus Schwab types and Christine Lagarde types and George H.W. Bush's, the Bush creatures and the Clintons, and they put them all in jail, and then we can all sing Kumbaya, and the whole world will be all better. This is not the way it works. These creeps are here playing a very important and very necessary role for your spiritual development and your spiritual advancement. So don't just bark at me that it's flat. See, the basis of my argument was, is it flat? Yes. Is it round in what the scientists say? Yes. It's both at the same time? Yes. Well, then if it's both at the same time, then it's neither. Yes. All have claim, none have claim. It will show you, again, I'm sorry, guys, the old guard's like, you going to say it again? They didn't get it. They just wanted to do earmuffs and stay in third grade truth. The reality is a false reality and a very fake conspiracy generation machine. At least in the case of, specifically, we'll just stick to our truth research and how we investigate reality. It will show you what most interests you, and the evidence it provides, the false reality, tends to line up with your existing belief set and biases. I have no idea if that's a word. If your biases are just, Matt, it's just plain bias. I don't know. But you know what I have to say? Somebody will tell me in the comments which one's right. It will show you, everybody goes into every topic with a little preconceived notion, a bias or an interest, or there's an excitement value. In the case of truth research, there's a fear value, and that feeds into the ether of this false world, and it will show you what you expect to find. And many people in this community are still addicted to fear, and they want to be told that Nibiru's coming around the side of the moon in 2 weeks, and they want to be told that the economic collapse is coming, and they live off that. It's adrenaline that feeds themselves in some way, and it also feeds the egregores in some way, and the George Bush creatures. So there's a lot of people here that still are in elementary school truth. Not everybody's the old guard sitting in the front row of the Amish classroom sound asleep every day. They got the work done here, but they're usually the first ones that get done clearing fields. So there's a lot of spitballers in the back here. And I'm sorry, no, you didn't listen to what I had to say yesterday. I will address comments too in this video. Some of the comments were, wait, we'll get into it. Some are funny. You didn't listen. Not the old guard, and many of you, these people that just barked at me, it's flat, did not listen. You might still bark at me that it's flat, but at least you have to tell me where I'm going wrong. So you think this world event is completely real, and you're from Davenport, and it's all real, and it doesn't in any way, the conscious observer of the real spiritual being doesn't affect anything at all. Now I know most people here, that's the people stuck in fifth grade truth. I guess that's what they would have to say back to me if they're just going to bark at me that it's flat. That implies everything's real, and it has a definitive shape, Matt. If these bad guys here would just let us go up in a hot air balloon and do 100 around the world in 80 days, we'd see it. I mean, that implies everything's real. Most people here, outside the old guard or whatever classification people are in, generally see that things here aren't very real, and the conscious observer of the real spiritual being, in some way at least influences what the reality shows us or how it behaves or whatever. We have different opinions on how much it influences, but almost everybody here that's been around the block to a degree agrees that we are an influence of some kind. Some may say it's minor, but either way, we all agree there's some sort of influence. We are a variable, an essential variable in reality itself. You know, maybe some people aren't 10 out of 10 and they just jump out of bed and they're going to go create their own reality. And I wish I was, like I said yesterday, I wish I was there. I wish I could do that. But I know, mostly because of the research that Jeff and I have done, where I dive into something, whether it be a Not Milk travel tours or investigating a Philosopher's series, or all the same types of things always come back. A reality that's a repeating script isn't a very real place. Every time I look at a country for Not Milk travel tours or whatever it may be, where there is an original indigenous population. I remember we looked at Tasmania, and we looked at some of the islands where Peter Stuyvesant had his escapades and exploits, where he became the peg leg. It was the Arawak, and I think he was trying to whack the Arawak Indians. That's where he became the peg leg. Every time we've looked at indigenous populations, just at random almost, it's the same repeating script that somehow the colonial powers over a 400-year period, have screwed them over, enslaved them, killed them off. Every time Jeff or I look over here at this topic, the 33 number starts coming, the 19 paired with the 11. Okay, there's different ways the reality shows itself or gives itself away as being fake. It shows itself in different ways to different people and different researchers, and expecting, based on what you expect to find, what you would expect to see, or what you expect to happen to you. But there's I'm sorry, second, third, fourth grade truthers. There's nobody here. And I am speaking for anybody who's been the old guard and everybody that's been here a while. There's nobody here that doesn't believe, at least in some way, that the real spiritual being and the consciousness influences reality, whether it be in terms of the conspiracy it generates, whatever, the numbers, the gematria it presents to you, the coincidences, the synchronicities. It's an influence. And I guess if you just scream at me that it's flat, you're telling me that as a spiritual being, as a conscious observation, it's everything out there is completely real. I'm in here, it's out there, we're completely separate. What I think, believe, what I'm fearful of, what I get excited about, what I love, it doesn't affect anything out there, and it's simply flat. Now we'll start out with a good comment, and there were a few of these. Doesn't the rule of opposites apply, Matt? Well, you don't believe in what Neil of the Grass Fed's saying, then it's the opposites, right? You're all about the rule of opposites, then it has to be splat turf. Well, look, this is a good comment overall, and don't take this the wrong way, whoever put a comment like this, and I think there was at least one or two others that talked about the rule of opposites. Well, Matt, you don't think it's round? Well, then it has to be. if I can do one thing via this channel for as long as I've done it, is to try to get you to think big, to think outside the box. Before putting a comment out like this. Think. I mean, this channel, as wrong as I am about many things, it will always be, and I think I've been successful in this one endeavor, an exercise in thinking big, right? Thinking outside the box. Wouldn't the rule of opposites apply here? Just think for 30 seconds before commenting. What's the opposite of anything hard? Soft or non-existent? Or an illusion? This is hard. This is hard. What's the opposite? That it appears hard, but it's not. It's an illusion. Or I'm wearing VR glasses. If it's not round, the rule of opposites does not dictate that it has to be flat. Another shape, another hard shape. Isn't an opposite, and even more so of an opposite, that it doesn't exist at all? And isn't more of an opposite that there is no shape? See, there's different ways to apply opposites. Just think before just throwing this back at me. Now, for this very good comment, there should be a new award given. Many of you know about my Pootie Tang Award. Many of you have even received the Righteous Truther Award, where you have to tell everybody that you threw out your television. Say, oh, Matt, you watch movies still? That's the Righteous Truther Award. This should be sums up my last video in the fewest words possible award, like this good comment does. When Neo went to see the Oracle in Matrix 1 for the very first time, there was the Spoon Boy, remember? And Neo they were all bending the spoons and floating things up in the air, and Neo picked the spoon up, and I can't do the Spoon Boy, but he's like, do not try to bend the spoon, Neo, you freak. Rather, picture that there is no spoon. I don't know, he says something like that, and then after he pictures there is no spoon, Neo's able to bend the spoon a little bit. There is no earth. There is no spoon, there is no earth the way you know it to be. Stop thinking everything's as hard as your table or as hard as an ice cube landing on your head. It's not what you think. So to sit there and try to determine for the span of your natural life, decade after decade, try to determine its shape. Are you kidding me? Who cares if it's flat, round, has that Peyronie's disease that you see, that bent carrot on the television commercial to get your drugs for your bent pain? It doesn't matter what the shape is. There is no spoon, dude. And consciousness plays a role. Come on, 5th grade truthers. Come along with us. Here's the next comment. I'll read it to you if it's a little bit small or you're on a phone. From Ken. I said here in the past that there's no proof that it's round, not no evidence that it's round. There's a big difference. First part. Ken, of all the hundreds and hundreds of comments I've got on this subject, I've been doing this almost 15 years. You think I'm referring to your past comments? What? Okay, I'm with you. You've said in the past there's no proof that it's round, not no evidence. Okay. There's a big difference. You've dug in hard with your beliefs about this topic, and you are simply wrong. I'll say again, like I alluded to in the beginning of this video, did you truly and closely listen to my video? It seems like you're a Splat turf advocate, of course. I'm simply wrong. All I'm saying, which I reiterated in the beginning of this video, trying to clarify from last video, that there is no definitive shape. It depends on what you want it to be and expect it to be, and going out to do the research, what you expect, what your upbringing has been, what your education has been. It can be both things to two different people. If people think it's toroidal or they think it's hollow, it can be many things to many different people. This comment doesn't address the main point. Now, I'll blame myself. I guess I didn't make the main point in the last video very clear. But what am I simply wrong about? So you don't believe consciousness in any way influences the outside world. Okay, you may believe that, but that's the only possible way you can say I'm simply wrong. If you don't believe consciousness influences reality in any way, doesn't have to be the people that jump out of bed, I'm going to create my reality, I'm not there. But it doesn't have to be 10 out of 10 on the sliding scale. If you think there's no effect whatsoever, well, one thing I would say to you is, why is this not-no thing always trying to influence our beliefs if we don't play a very important role in its equation? Why is it always trying to work us over? mind control us if we aren't an important variable in the equation. Okay, that's the first part. But if you don't believe, and you're never going to come around, that the consciousness of a real spiritual being has an influence, maybe even a small influence on reality, I would say, what are you doing at this channel? It's not for you. A lot of mall events to cover. There's a lot of fake events there's cover. There's a lot of more. There's thousands of more flat videos. This channel, if you don't think a spiritual being's consciousness affects reality in some way, this channel's not for you. So I would say you didn't listen. I don't. When I'm blaming myself, I'm not really. I think I was pretty clear in the last video. I don't think a lot of people just didn't want to hear that message. They did earmuffs. Here's a comment that I'm used to getting. LOL, that's laugh out loud. I like these talks, but do you have ADHD or some sort of medical condition? Of course I do. Well, which ones? All of them. ADHD, that's just the A's. Go to the Z's. I have A through Z. I have every single one you have, and then some. I got them all. You think I could just study dark reality, have people sending me hundreds and hundreds of things, sometimes a day, at least a week, pointing out different aspects of the dark reality I was trying to trap us here, I was trying to take soul tokens? You think I could look at this stuff every day and from 15 years with no days off? When was the last time I said, Matt, this is a message from Matt. I'll be gone for the next 3 weeks on vacation. When was the last time you got that message? Of course there's things wrong with me. I'm afraid to go to the doctor because they take away my car keys. One last quick proviso before I make too many enemies. Look, if I'm highlighting your comment, health here, I've seen both your comments. Thank you. I'm sure if you book us into the room, we would agree 70, 80%. I'm not trying to make enemies or piss people off, and I know it's not fair. I'm here breaking down every bit of your comment. You said, Matt, if I knew you were going to break it down, I would have composed it with a little bit more structure. I would have spent more time. It's not fair. You have no opportunity to respond. It's not fair. Okay, just chalk one up for the team. You're helping, and I'll try to do the best I can presenting your position or being fair, realizing that you're not at the podium next to me to defend yourself. We need just chalk it up that you're taking one for the team to help us all out. Okay? I'm not trying to piss anybody off. Okay, Matt. With that being said, the comment reads, and sorry for the hobo code, I don't want a banner ad. It's flat, but not in the way the Splat turf researchers say. We're on a circular, flat plane, but we aren't in the middle like on the Splat turf model. We're in a section of the flat circle, and Antarctica is a wall that encases us. The shape of Antarctica is not an island. It's a long wall that curves from one point on the circumference of the flat circle, surrounds the lands we all commonly know, and then meets at another point on the circumference to keep us separate from hidden lands. Complete an OBE, or out-of-body experience, and you can see for yourselves. Okay, let me address the OBE, or the out-of-body experience thing, in that last sentence last. For the first part, I would say, and again, one last time, it's not fair what I'm doing here. You're falling into the same trap. Who could, all the wonder of this world, the impossible things we've witnessed, things that don't add up, things that don't make sense, how could these millions and millions be in on it? All the things that's thrown at us as long as we've been into truth research, all the tens of thousands of things that don't make sense, you're trying to make sense of it. This is, in my opinion, 100% falling for the trick of this reality. You're trying to explain the physical nature of it and the ice wall, and there are other lands that why do you think that, what's that channel that said we live in it, where the moon is a reflection? I could never pronounce it. It starts with a G or something. The moon is a reflection of Earth and crater Earth, and that's nonsense, people. It's all, anything that tries to put your mindset, your consciousness into a physical explanation is the trick. I think it is that simple. I'm open to being wrong. I'm sorry. I know you can't defend yourself. Saying this is the exact, the ice wall, and this is where we are, and this is the moon. I know you're not saying that here in this, but you've seen the videos of the moon, crater Earth, and it reflects where we are, and there are other lands. No, it's all a trick. Everything here is a trick. Now, of course, the second or last part of this comment explains how he or she knows all of this. I'm going to object to this as well. Complete an OBE, Matt, and you can see for yourself. He's saying, I've been out of body experience. I've done it, Matt. What have you done, you son of a beach? What have you done? Okay, I hear you. Full disclosure. I haven't had an out-of-body experience that I know about. I haven't had an after-death experience, an ADE or an NDE. I wasn't under the ice for 20 minutes before some hand reached down and pulled me up over the ice and took the hockey puck out of my mouth. I haven't traveled into the astral like Don Juan flying around Mexico. Full disclosure. Well, then, Matt, you shouldn't talk. And you should finally, as you say, shut the video down now. Okay, you've had an OB. I don't know exactly what that means here. You didn't give the details, and that's fine, whatever that means. But how can you be so sure that what you saw in the OBE, whatever the experience, however it took place, whether it be ayahuasca, DMT, it doesn't matter. I'll say the same thing I've said back to many that have presented the same sort of thing to me. How can you be so sure that's the truth? Okay, you had an OBE and you're able to look down at the earth and say, okay, here's where we are. There are other lands here. This, what we call North America and South America, is just a small part. And there's other lands beyond anything we could imagine. And there's the ice wall. How would you know that that's the truth? Okay, you had an OB. Okay, so why does that have to be guaranteed the absolute truth? I don't get that. Okay, it's a unique experience, whatever it may have been, DMT, ayahuasca, near-death experience. People that do the ADs, the NDs, I saw the light and had this overwhelming feeling of love, and we've heard the testimony. Oh, well, how do you know that that's real death? And you know what I've said about the ADs and the NDs and the people that hover over the doctor, pronouncing them dead on the hospital operating table. So let me get this straight. You saw death and what it really was. All the relatives came into the light and an overwhelming feeling of love. So let me get this straight. You're from Davenport. You're really smart. Whoever designed this whole reality, would you think they know something? Would you think your God, whoever designed this world that's beyond the level of complexity we can't possibly fathom in this dumbed-down little governed brain that just wants to jerk itself off all the time. We're just in this little governed brain that just wants to watch television, drink a few beers, and jerk itself off. You think we're going to be able to... it's beyond anything we can imagine in this little monkey suit, okay? So do you think it knows something? Do you think it's powerful? Do you think it's intelligent? Well, yeah. Times a trillion to the trillionth power. So let me get this straight. It made a mistake. I've presented this many times. I've never heard the AD or the ND people come back to me on this. So it made a mistake and it allowed a glitch. It allowed a cheat code. So if you go under the ice with a hockey puck in your mouth, you could have the real death experience and then, you'll live and bring it all back and you'll give it all away when it wasn't meant to be given away. See, I think the person that designed this reality or God or whoever knows what they're doing. And I don't think if they had a mistake, then that person, or let's just call it he, that I'm sure the creator of reality wants to be called a he or a she, or they, them. Let's just say it. Would you want to be called he or she or it if you designed this reality? I think it. It would have fixed the mistake the first time the mistake became aware that it was a mistake. Say this God, whatever. I mean, talk about going off on a tangent. This God, whoever created this reality, whatever it may be, your God, a demonic being, an alien, sleep at the desk, whatever, just had too many drinks, whatever, and a little light went off in their Chernobyl control center. And this is, say, 8,000 years ago. This son of a bitch Aztec over here, this person died and should be dead, but there was some sort of an after-death experience, or they saw the relatives in the light, and they through the medicine man, some Mayan Inca son of a beach came in and revived the person. They saw real death, and that's not what is supposed to happen in this reality. See, whoever designed the reality would have fixed the problem. Am I just is this crazy talk, or do you understand? They would have fixed the glitch. So, okay, the Chernobyl Control Center for the reality creator, they would have fixed it so sons of bitches that don't hover over the damn doctor anymore, and that might be all true, hovering over but you're not going to see what real death looks like. Whoever created this reality would have fixed that. And the same thing goes to out-of-body experiences or flying around the astral like Don Juan. Things you're not supposed to know, whatever created this reality, I think would have fixed that problem. Or am I just, you're not following me. It's just complete nonsense what I'm throwing out here. So if you're not supposed to see it, whoever designed the reality is maybe 4 trillion times smarter than you and I are in this form. So per the last part of this comment, Matt, complete an OBE and have an out-of-body experience, you son of a beach, or drink some ayahuasca, or do some DMTs, or be pulled from under the ice, and then you'll see it, Matt. Then you'll have the ability to talk. Instead, just until that happens, Matt, just keep your greasy little mouth shut. See, to me, it's not that simple. Sorry. Say, oh, I had my OBE. I saw what the world really is. I know it has to be true. Well, why what's the difference between an OBE and like the dream experience? Or because the OBE experience has to be superior to the dream experience. That's just made up bullshit. The OBE has to be all true. Why? Maybe it's just me. Let's move on to another comment. Per this comment from the last video, Bill has actually sent me a revised poster of the first aquatic being trying to crawl up on the land. If I don't show that to you here in this video, I'll show it to you very soon. Joyce says to me, I just heard a short saying, we don't know where eels come from because they have no sex organs. If you're long-haul trucking and not reading with me, it was eels. We don't know where eels come from because they have no sex organs. I was lying in bed with a girl once, and she actually told me the same thing because I guess she had a few too many, but once she sobered up a bit, she didn't want no part of me. She didn't want to say, as you would say, do it. And she said, we can't do this, Matt. Well, why not? We're here together. Well, we can't do this, Matt. And she couldn't think of an excuse quick enough. She said, do you know what the problem eels have? I said, no, I don't know about no eels. She says, I have that problem, Matt. It's called eel disease. We can't do it, Matt, because I have no sex organs. You have no sex organs? I said, can't we try anyway? No. I have no sex organs, Matt. I'm sorry for being in bed with you. I'm sorry for turning you on when we can't finish the job. Now go to bed. There's only a slight variation in that story. Basically, that happened to me. Here's a comment I didn't particularly appreciate. I literally do fall asleep listening. To me, it's nice. Let me get this straight. You fall asleep listening to me, and it's nice? This is very hurtful. I woke up in the middle of the night last night screaming this comment out, and Zara was on the foot of my bed. She jumped straight up. You fall asleep listening to my videos, and it's nice? This is very hurtful. Please think about my feelings before commenting in the future. Now, if I didn't read or go through this one, it would be said that I was avoiding the tough criticism. I'd be accused of that, so I don't remember exactly what's here. But Matt, you're really confused with the every bit of math proves globe argument. I'm surprised you're still falling for this, actually. You haven't given much thought, apparently. All the math works based on dozens upon dozens of initial assumptions. We could make hundreds of different mathematical models that work. That's how it works. It's literally all made-up speculation. You've been deceived by the fallacious glober rhetoric. Do yourself a favor, Matt. Present just one mathematical calculation that you think works, and then I'll show you the many assumptions that it's based upon. Well, that sounds pretty good. You're falling for there are hundreds, thousands of equations that work. These are misdirection red herrings, Matt. Pick just one, Matt, and see how easy it is to debunk. Sounds pretty good. I'll look into that. By the way, I don't think the Earth is splat turf either. The true discussion is beyond splat versus globe. Yeah. So wait a second. If we come out the other side of the turnstile together holding hands, or if you want hugging, if we come out together, does it matter how we arrived here? Well, Matt, the foundation supports everything above it. No, not in this case, it doesn't. Once you get to the final conclusion that this isn't very real, and in some way the real consciousness of a spiritual being affects what's out there, affects what it shows you, affects the evidence that it puts forth, affects the conspiracy generation machine. Once you arrive at it and we agree, actually the foundation doesn't matter, but let me just continue. But you're not doing the discussion any favor by giving credence to this fallacious, unsupportable, the math works nonsense in 2025. 2017, maybe. But 2025, the entire scientific community, every single astronomer and cosmologist, everything's been upended just in the past, say, 8 to 9 years. This is news to me. The discussion has evolved many iterations beyond the math work silliness now. At a minimum, get up to speed with the latest discussions. So go back. You want me to go back and spend hundreds of hours on what I would call like rudimentary splat turf Splat turf presentations. Splat turf. That mention the pilots don't have to push the stick down. And you want me to go backwards and go back and look at least for the mathematical argument in all the splat turf presentations, when I've come to the ultimate conclusion, not just in investigating shape of the earth, come to the conclusion from hundreds of different examples that this place isn't very real, and that consciousness is a factor in dictating what it shows you, or what you're presented with, or the synchronicities and coincidences that you see throughout the day, or whatever it may be. I've arrived at this, but you want me to go back. So talk about diving back into the weeds. So let's just say I'm completely, I'll stop and I'll think about it. I mean, I told you many times in the past that math isn't my thing. When that part of the SATs came, I just guessed at every single question. I thought I got, percentage-wise, I could get 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 right, how many ever answers there were. The verbal, the English is what I did well, and that's what carried my SATs. The math, I think I just spat out in the middle of the crowded classroom with all the kids taking the SATs. I just said, I don't understand none of this. I'm not a math person. I'll try to make the presentation that I was making in the last video regarding the equation side or the scientific side more clear for you, okay? But don't you see how this would be going backwards? No, I don't want to go back and watch 50 splat turf videos that are going to present this part, but also the pilots say they don't have to push the stick down. The pilots say it doesn't matter. We've arrived through the turnstile together. Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got to hug. We could hug. We both, you say here, you don't think it's splat, you don't think it's globe, you don't think it's either one either. Then we generally agree. So why are you so upset with me about me using the mathematical argument, even if I'm completely wrong, if we agree and we've come out the other end of the cave in the same place? Brothers got a hug. Okay, I had to pause and remember the 2 examples I presented in the last video, which I believe were retrograde, the motion of retrograde, or a Mercury retrograde, or the moon of Jupiter in retrograde, and how it appears to go backwards. And I presented the example of Venus being the morning star and the evening star and not being able to be seen in the middle of the night. There are 4 basic examples here. Let me present to Micah. Venus retrograde, the eclipse itself, a solar or a lunar, let's just say the solar eclipse, and say the return of Halley's Comet or any other comet that has a predictable return. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, guys, because I just have to make sure that Micah and I aren't completely on a different page, that he's arguing something that that I don't even understand, and I'm over here arguing something that he doesn't quite get where I'm coming from. So let me just start with this. It'll just be 2 minutes, and we'll go on to another comment. So I think I clearly see what he's saying, but I don't understand. Meaning, so every single solar eclipse can be predicted right down to the minute or the second, hundreds and hundreds of years out, probably thousands of years out. Every solar eclipse coming is now predicted. Isn't the predictions of the coming solar eclipse, and I know you're probably screaming, maybe I'm not seeing where you're coming from, and you're probably screaming at what I'm saying now, wishing you could communicate with me. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. I will look for your next comment. Doesn't the prediction of the solar eclipses have to do with math? Well, of course. But isn't that math based on the heliocentric solar system, which just by definition, of course, implies what the scientists say about the Earth? I don't understand. So Venus, only in the if you graphically put it on an animation, why we can only see it in the morning or in the evening. Can't see it in the middle of the night. There is no math that could be associated with that, or even the model itself in an animation, and that doesn't in any way support the heliocentric solar system. The heliocentric solar system, of course, just goes hand in hand with round, right? I mean, is that a stretch for me to try to make that relationship? They all go together, of course. So the others, the eclipse, they can predict solar eclipse, thousands of years out now? Isn't that based on math? Well, it would have to be predictive. Isn't that math based on the heliocentric solar system? I guess I'm missing something, because I don't see any way around this, Micah. And retrograde, like when Mercury appears to move backwards, or, I mean, somebody had it in the comment in the last video, and it was actually a very interesting comment. I forget exactly what it said, but it was thinking big about the Martin Kenny animations where the retrograde is shown as a little loop-de-loop instead of it actually appearing from our perception to move backward because of a heliocentric universe. And they were actually saying how that's possible. I appreciate the comment because it was some sort of really big out-of-the-box thinking. But, in terms of explaining the retrograde using the model of the heliocentric universe as it just appears to go in the other direction because of this and that associated with the model of what science uses to describe the heliocentric universe, it's perfect in terms of that explanation. You don't need a stupid little loop-de-loop, pigtail loop-de-loop. So one is not equal to the other in terms of the common sense that lines up with what this reality appears to be. So I will look to your comment, Micah, why the eclipse and comets, the return of Halley's Comet, can be predicted down to the minute. In any other comet, anything. I know a lot of the asteroid stuff is total BS. Oh, asteroid 329567-1A, it's going to get close to the Earth on this pass. We don't know that there's anything up there. It could be all made up. But you can't make a comet up. You see Halley's Comet's tail every 70 years or whatever it may be, or anything where you can't just say it's there and it's not really there. The prediction of Halley's Comet. The predictive ability, of course, is based on math. One last time, that math is not based on the assumptions of a heliocentric universe and the ecliptic and things like that. What am I missing? I'll look to your comment, Micah, for this comment. Okay, Stephen, I hear you, Stephen. It's just a way of saying something. I don't mean the literal Webster's definition. Stephen says, in the same way you find a substitute for the word reciteer, we need a substitute for fake. The world is not fake. It works in ways that includes much more than physical mechanisms. Okay, we all agree. I don't think this really matters, Stephen. It works in ways that includes much more than physical mechanisms. I will go beyond that. It's supernatural in nature. It's beyond anything we can fathom in this dumbed down, governed, little temporary meat suit where we only have the senses and 1% of the information. And we will never truly understand how things work. We're limited here. But what's wrong with fake? It's just a way of saying something. Fake, obviously, the old guard that's been here, when I say it, just implies that it's certainly not what the scientists say, not what the experts say, not what academia says, and there's a lot of weird things going on. Okay, I think most people are okay with fake. It generally communicates the correct position. I'll look. Why don't you give me a substitute word if you want? But I don't think anybody really is like hearing me say fake and running to Webster's for the exact definition. They know what I mean. Next one. Oh no. There are tons of proof for Splat turf and none for the globe. Matt, there's nothing for the zero. They have nothing. Every single university, every single astronomer, cosmologist, going back hundreds, they have nothing. Those that shine the laser beams across the water have everything. Come on, let me just finish reading. Don't take this the wrong way. A sonic animal? Don't take it the wrong way. Come on, man. I'm sorry, it could be a woman. It could be they, them. I'm sorry, just don't take it the wrong way. I think you have no patience to research. Shape of turf, of course, matters. Not once you reach a certain point, it doesn't. It might help you reach a certain point, then it matters. Fact and prove, 100 plus facts prove the Earth. Oh, is that an Eric Dubay video? You're going to pull out that? Come on, sir. I have become different, and I did change to be more spiritual. That's good for everybody. The discovery of Splat turf changes everything. Yes, it can. We all go through our graduated animal farms. We all go through our stages. In that respect, you're right. It's a valiant pursuit if you can continue to evolve. I just get on the people that don't evolve. Everything's a nice stepping stone if we can continue to take steps. It did change my mind. It has changed a lot of people who discovered that the Earth is splat. Magenta may change many things, but not the shape. I think you're getting extreme. But I understand you wrote this quickly and there's some mistakes here. You didn't expect me to highlight this in front of thousands of people. I understand. It's okay. The nature of the animal. Okay. Well, look, let's just go back. The only thing that's really relevant here is the first sentence or so. There are tons of proof for Splat and none for the globe. This is what I've been seeing every time I talk about this or make reference to this topic. This is what always comes back, and I just don't understand this. Okay, let's just go back. Remember the four things I told Micah? Is it Micah or Mika? I don't want to make that same mistake that was made in Eurotrip. The eclipse, Venus, comets, retrograde, my four basic examples as to how things that really, really line up and provide tremendous evidence of the heliocentric model of the solar system with the ecliptic, which again goes hand in hand with a round shape. If I'm just making a stretch there, and if you think heliocentric, ecliptic, and all that stands on its own and doesn't go with round, and to me, it's one thing. It's all one scientific religion. I don't know if anybody will make the case that they don't. I can't make that linkage. But your first sentence here, tons for the Splat, none for the round. So I don't hang out in the astrophysics department of Cambridge. I don't know people over at Oxford and the cosmetology departments or the School of Astronomy and the Ivy League and Brown and Columbia and wretched schools like Cornell. I don't hang out there, but I would just, from a common sense perspective, I would think if I spent years over there, I would think they'd have something. I just think they'd have something. Other than Venus is perfect in terms of the model of the heliocentric solar system, the way you can only see Venus in the morning or at night, lines up perfectly with that religion. Again, sorry I keep quoting the same examples. Again, this isn't my thing. So, but I bet if I went into the astronomy apartment and the cosmetology of Cambridge, I bet they'd have something. You'd say they have nothing, absolutely nothing. I don't get this. I mean, that's where they have a lot, and you guys have a lot. I'm not just trying to run down and make fun and make it seem like y'all run out there on your boats and you run your laser across Lake Michigan, and I'm not trying to run y'all down. That you do the best you can with your experiments, and I believe in your experiments. I believe you're accurately assessing your experiments, and that's what the world is showing you. But when I see that there's tons of evidence on both sides, then something else is going on. The world itself is a trick. And I'll say it again, because it's not getting through to many people. It shows both sides what it wants to see at the same time. And it doesn't just I have to, in another video, I have to show you all the 100 ways it does this in everything. It does it in politics. It's not just the shape of the Peroni's Earth. It does it in everything. So, maybe I have to come back and demonstrate how the reality does this in like every single thing we look at. That's part of its all duality trick and scheme and ruse. So here we go with the duality again. Shape. So, one last, to come back and say, hundreds of thousands of people working in, the departments of astronomy and university research parks, or, it's NASA doesn't just send rockets up. It's not all of, they do a lot of other things. Okay. Everybody has nothing. I guess then they must know it's Splat. To say they have nothing, I'm sorry to be repetitive. That's ignorant. To say, you could say, Matt, here's what they're doing here. At least Micah tried to say they do have something, but it's all based on their constructed model. I don't even really know what Micah was saying, but at least he was to come out and say they have nothing. Ignorant. Okay, and we'll end with giving out a righteous truther award. Is that like a bright boy alert? It's a righteous truther award to Chris here. Nope, don't care about shapes, don't care about sizes, don't care who's pulling strings, what do you call it? Not milk, you stupid ass shit. Madam, don't care, I'm here. Hey, we like the last sentence. I'm still here for me and this experience called life. Of course. But Chris, don't vie for the righteous truther award. We all have to get to that last part there. Your last part, the worry about yourself, living life. What is life truly for? What are we here for? What does your soul and spirit need from this experience? We have to go through, many of us, maybe you just were born with it, but most of us have to go through the steps to get to part two, the work. We have to go through the bullshit, spending time researching the shape and spending time on politics and fighting for the conservatives against the Democrats, and then moving on to another graduated animal farm like Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck, or when we investigate the frauds of NASA and the fraud of this and the fraud of that, and what was the Library of Alexandria, and how come the architecture in the old days could be built and today it can't be built. These are all stepping stones. These are necessary for most of us to get where we need to be. At some point, I bet you did care about more. Now that you have a full understanding, I bet in the past, at some point, unless you were like one of the few, maybe like the golden child's born every 1,000 years, you're born with it. But most of us, there's different types of people here. If you're ready to graduate, that's fine. But the comment, I don't care. Not everybody's at your level. So this is a Righteous Truther Award winner. If you've won, that's wonderful. But don't telling everybody about this denies that many people still need these types of discussions. If you don't care about this, then what are you doing here? Thanks for commenting, though, and I hope the commenters took it in good spirit, because these exercises, although it wasn't fair, they put me in a podium against you, Matt, you son of a beach. It's not fair. You're not here to defend yourself, so you got to be a bigger person. Well, you can come back and I'll look for your comments in future videos. Say, call me all these names and stuff, and then we'll do another comments video. Thanks for taking one for the team, and thanks for helping everybody out that's at a lower level in this Amish classroom. See you next time at the same bat channel, but a different bat time.